Hello, good morning, and welcome back to another vlog. If you're new here, my name is Sarah. I'm a PhD student in English at Indiana University, and I make a lot of vlogs primarily about what it's like to be a PhD student and write a dissertation and teach and all of the things that go along with that. And I really want today's day in my life video to be a really honest look at what it is like to be a PhD student and what it's like to be in a place where I'm struggling with a dissertation and where I'm struggling with my identity being so wrapped up in being a graduate student and being so wrapped up in my dissertation. So I'm getting things started this morning by just taking some notes on a Jenna Hong vlog because I'm thinking of talking about her for one of my case studies. Okay, here is the very casual, probably not leaving my house today, writing grading fit. Sweatpants, slippers, long sleeve t-shirt. I'm gonna go wash my face and maybe put on a little bit of makeup, at least skincare, because I have a couple of Zoom calls today, so I want to feel slightly put together. Okay, quick makeup, mostly Merit beauty products because I'm obsessed with their stuff. But it is 9:30 now. I have gotten my dissertation writing group started. Basically, I just hop on Zoom, say what are your goals for this 3-hour session, where have you been this past week, and then we meet back at 11:45 and say what do you accomplish, what do you want to do moving forward. This is through the writing center, so I get paid to lead it, which is always nice. And typically I try and work on my dissertation during this time as well, but having a moment with the dis, so let's talk about it. Okay, had to set the camera down on my dresser to get into this. So I had a really productive dissertation writing day, I don't know, a little over a week ago, and I posted a vlog about it, and it was like the most productive I've ever been. All the ideas were flowing. I felt great. And then the next week I was still making like some progress, and then out of nowhere I sort of feel like I hit a wall, and that's really weird for me because I feel like I normally start gradually getting there, but it just like truly hit me like you're driving and all of a sudden, boom, this like barricade appears. And I'm having a hard time even explaining what's challenging about it right now. Part of it is imposter syndrome, and part of it is like this all feels really stupid. I don't feel like I'm even on the right track with this. This doesn't make any sense. Am I even like analyzing the right thing? So as I mentioned in my last vlog, I ended up sending my writing to my dissertation advisor and was like, hey, if you have a chance, can you look at this? And I have a meeting with him this afternoon at 2:15. And he was like, I'll try my best to look at it, but I wasn't like planning on sending him writing, so he didn't have like time set in his schedule to like look at it. So we'll see how much he had like a chance to. I didn't expect him to look at like the entire chapter draft. I just told him like, here's like the pages where like I really get into the weeds of things, like my primary case study analysis that I'm nervous about. I have no idea what caused this wall. It is probably a combination of things. Part of it is that someone who's technically in my cohort, she came in the same year as me. She just defended her dissertation successfully yesterday. And I'm like, oh, that's where it was supposed to be. It was technically a 6-year contract, but I'm adding a 7th year. What am I doing? But like finishing your dissertation within that like allotted contract time, at least in my program, is really rare in English because you just don't know. You don't know how your ideas are going to unfold. You don't know if you're gonna find the case studies or like the primary text to analyze. You don't know if you're gonna have like IRB for teaching. You don't even know like what you're gonna study. When I came into this program, I thought that I was gonna be studying writing centers and that my dissertation was gonna be about writing centers, but like that's a very tangential part of it. So everyone is truly on their own timeline, but I think that that's really getting with like messing with me and getting in my head of like, she's done, so I should be done. This is also a joint MA PhD program for me, so like I don't have any of that experience of like writing a master's thesis. I am like launched straight into writing a dissertation. The closest thing I've done before is writing seminar papers, which were 20 pages. A dissertation is like 200 pages. So it's a lot, and I'm trying to be gentle with myself and give myself grace, but I feel like my last few vlogs have been like really centered on like, I'm making so much progress, I'm so productive, and my vlogs like get more views when I mention like productivity in the title. And a lot of you all are like, oh my gosh, this vlog is so motivating, which I love, and I'm glad that it can be motivating for you guys. I'm happy to make that sort of like productivity content, but also today's hard, and the past few days have been a little rough for the dissertation. And because I make these vlogs about my dissertation, and my dissertation is like about vlogs, and it's like this inverse, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a chiasmus kind of relationship. My identity is often so wrapped up in this that that's another reason why it's hitting this wall. It feels like there's no like escaping it. Even though I know that I am so much more than this dissertation is a part of my life. I hate how much my mood is impacted by it. Like, I'm already feeling so anxious about that meeting with my advisor, because I'm like, if it doesn't go well, I'm not gonna be in a good mood, which is frustrating, but it's like the reality of things, even though I wish that it wasn't. I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm just like in a little bit of a rut with life right now, but that's a chatty segment. That's how I've been feeling. Let's make some breakfast. Breakfast cures everything. Some veggie eggs with feta. I have a nice thick piece of sourdough in the toaster. Okay, just finished eating that breakfast. Ate a yogurt as a sweet treat because it's gotten so bad that I need something sweet literally after any time I eat something savory. And I think I'm gonna do a little bit of grading. My student's last day of class is tomorrow, which is wild because I'm not teaching in the fall. So I'm like, this is the last time I'm teaching till January, potentially ever at IU, maybe if some other things pan out. But when Megan came home yesterday, she was like, last day teaching ever at IU, because she's on fellowship for like all of next year. And it's just, that's a lot to think about. But that being said, the end of the semester is always like really hectic trying to get grading done. So I really want to get all of my students' video essays graded before tomorrow, so they can know where they stand in the class on the last day before submitting their final projects. I graded all the video essays of one section, and I've graded half the video essays of this other section. I've loved watching them so far. They're just time consuming to grade because each one is like 10 minutes. And then I also have to read like the reflection that goes with it. And then I have to assess it. Ugh, grading is hard. Assessment is like so hard. I wish we could just like learn and make stuff and have fun and not have to worry about grades. Gonna reward myself for grading 3 video essays with another coffee, but I'm gonna do a little iced coffee this time. The whole trick of productivity, especially when working from home, is just setting up rewards along the way. So coffee is usually a reward of mine. Going out and getting a sweet treat, I guess it typically revolves around food. I'm gonna have going for a walk as a little reward today, listening to a podcast, listening to Taylor Swift's album or a song, scrolling on Pinterest for 5 minutes. All of these are good rewards for me. Oh, there's not much. I feel like I should just finish it out. Yeah, I'd be mad if I left that much. Everybody. Well, how was the writing time for you all? Okay, gonna force myself to grade a couple more, at least 2 more video essays, and then I'm going to take a bit of a break before my meeting with my advisor. My break is going to be reading this book that I got from the library last week. Had a nice little reading and cuddling session with Miss Purr, the love of my life. Purr, these green pillows bring out your eyes. Wow. Like a little over 100 pages, and it's giving like 3-star read vibes, but we'll go with it. 2 o'clock, my meeting's in 15 minutes, so I'm eating a quick little lunch-ish. This is like chickpea salad, sort of like there's like tuna salad or chicken salad. It's actually really good and really easy. This was dinner last night. I'm just gonna put it on another piece of sourdough. Okay, time for my meeting. I feel so nervous right now, and that's so silly of me. I have plenty of meetings with my advisor. I don't know. I don't like the feeling I have right now. It's really hard for me to know sometimes if something is like anxiety or a gut feeling, and I'm like, is this a gut feeling, not like things are gonna go wrong? But one time I heard that the difference is that anxiety is when you think things are gonna go wrong before they actually happen, and a gut feeling is more so in the moment when you're not feeling right because you're like, something's not right in the air. So since this is happening before, I'm like, it's probably just good old-fashioned anxiety. Take a few deep breaths. I've never had like an awful meeting with my advisor. He's never mean about my writing. I just don't want to hear that I need to redo like an entire chapter. Well, we're gonna go for a walk before I bombard you guys with thoughts. I'm gonna try and beat the rain. The radar says no rain till like 5, and it is a little before 4, so I think we're good. Update on the meeting with my advisor. So as soon as it was done, I immediately felt frustrated, not by anything that he said necessarily, just I think frustrated by feeling like I have worked so hard. I feel like I'm on the verge of like burnout, and there's still so much left to go for this dissertation. Like, I'm working on chapter 2 of 4 chapters, and I keep telling myself that I'm gonna be done before the fall semester. But he was like, oh, you got a fellowship, now you're gonna be able to work through the fall. And I was like, no, the goal is to be done. And he was like, eh. And I was like, oh my god. So basically he told me that he had read like the first half of it, and what I wanted him to focus on was the second half, so he wasn't able to give like specific feedback for the second half. But he was like, what I've read so far sounds good. And he was like, obviously like it's just a draft, things aren't finished yet, and like there's places where like I have marked in the writing like need to develop this more. And he gave me good advice of, instead of just like making a note to myself like develop this more, to write like meta commentary of like, I will include a section here that explains this for these reasons, and that I need like even more signposting, which I talked about a few vlogs ago. And basically he pointed out the issue that I knew was the issue, which was I'm not fully defining what my 2 major terms for this chapter are. So my dissertation revolves around hyper awareness, and chapter 1 talks a lot about audience awareness and embodied awareness, and the second chapter is bringing in vlog specifically and talking about what I call embodied hyper awareness and audience hyper awareness. And he was like, what's the difference? Is it just like extra awareness? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know, I'm having a really hard time like pinning, hey purr, she's always trying to eat my hair ties. But I'm having just like a really hard time pinning down that exact definition, which is why I feel like it's making the case study so hard, because I'm having a hard time saying like, look how she's demonstrating embodied hyper-awareness, because I don't have like a definition of embodied hyper-awareness. And so I was like, you know, I've been thinking a lot about trying to cite this from like a feminist framework, specifically like as someone who has experienced gender-based and like sexual violence, and like PTSD and like this hyper awareness of my body. And then he brought up the really smart idea of maybe I need to situate it temporally, that it's not that we are filming ourselves and editing ourselves in these vlogs and are hyper aware the whole time, but maybe we have like these temporal moments of hyper awareness. So when I'm editing a vlog and there's a moment where I really don't like the way I look, or I really do like the way I look, as he pointed out, he was like, it doesn't all have to be negative. And I feel just like acutely aware of my body. The whole time I'm aware of it, but in that moment, I'm very, very aware. That awareness is like saturated. That could be a moment of hyper-awareness. And I like this idea of temporality. It feels more congruent with how I'm thinking of it. And he was like, it's not like you're hyper aware all the time. And I was like, yeah, because that's what PTSD is, and that's what hypervigilance is, and that's hell on earth. And I literally told him that. And he was like, yeah, so we're not working with that. So yeah, I like this idea of temporality also because I've been thinking a lot about like temporality and linearity in my dissertation and like the writing process in general. I'm thinking about like the temporal like distance of time between filming yourself and editing it back, and how that time leads to like defamiliarization, which leads to like this increased awareness of yourself. Like if I were to film this and then immediately watch the clip back, it doesn't feel that weird. There's like a little bit of a weirdness, which in Jenna Hong's video this morning she referred to as a glare, which I'm gonna run with that. But if I typically, as I do, film this and then edit it back a week later, it's weird. It just feels like, oh, I forgot that I said it this way, or I don't know, it's just like that feels like a lifetime ago. Or the more distance, the stranger it feels. The less like yourself you feel, the more like an object you feel. And my argument is that that can be productive. The way that it's cultivating that embodied awareness can be productive, because combined with audience awareness, it could help you think about your audience and their specific embodiments more expansively and more diversely and just more seriously, more critically. But I need to first define embodied awareness, and it's a lot. It also just feels like I really wish that I could just submit my entire YouTube channel as my dissertation. I put this on like my close friend story on Instagram and was like, I've produced over 150 vlogs. I started making vlogs before I even knew what embodied writing was, when I felt like strangely super in my body but also not in my body, when I was really dealing and reeling from this PTSD diagnosis, and first like getting treatment for that in the form of therapy and medication, and learning how to be able to like go for walks by myself without having to look over my shoulder every half second. And I've documented the journey to like feeling embodied, towards like thinking about vlogs as a form of embodiment, to learning what embodied composition is, to now where I'm strategically crafting and producing vlogs as forms and acts of embodied composition. Can't this channel be enough? Can't I just submit a link to youtube.com/Sarah Fischer vlogs and call it my dissertation? Do I need to also include a 200-page document that explains this all? Because it feels like a lot. I've just like worked really, really hard on myself to come back into my body from that girl who literally couldn't leave her house. And I'm like, you don't understand, like all of that was part of the dis too. Like all of that was like, should be included in the labor too. It's not just the writing. It was all of that trauma and healing, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't have that. But I had to do that to get here. Can I cite that? Is that acknowledged in the labor that I've gone through? I don't know. I don't know how so many people have written dissertations and have PhDs. It's really, really, really hard. Okay, 5:30, got out of the shower, wearing a little loungy outfit. These are pajama shorts. I think I'm gonna put my clothes away, and if I have time, I'm going to finish the rest of the grading for my section. If not, I'll wake up early and do it in the morning. 2 baskets of clean clothes. I should be able to get them folded and put away in the length of one Gilmore Girls episode. Purr! Hi! Okay, Miss Nosy. I've never seen her get up there and do that. What's out there, Purr? Okay, room is all clean. Just need to bring that basket back downstairs. And I have some time to do some grading. It's 6:40. I've done enough work for the day. So it's time to start winding down and getting ready for tomorrow. Dinner. Verrrry eating too. Chocolate chip cookie, ice cream for dessert.